Welcome back to our channel, dear friends. We have spent decades together watching the triumphs, tragedies, and incredible resilience of our beloved characters. And today, we have some truly explosive developments to unpack that will surely leave us all breathless. For those of us who have been watching General Hospital since the golden days, the coffee warehouse has always stood as a profound symbol of Sonny Corinthos and his sprawling empire. It is the very foundation of his legitimate business front, a place where countless deals have been made, secrets have been whispered in the shadows, and the rich aroma of roasted beans has often masked the darker, more dangerous operations of the Port Charles underworld. But what we just witnessed on our television screens was not a mere business dispute or a quiet meeting gone wrong. Jen Sidwell has completely shattered the unwritten rules of our beloved city by launching a full-scale, broad daylight assault on that very warehouse. As a longtime viewer, I found myself holding my breath, utterly shocked by the sheer audacity and brutality of this attack. This was not the kind of localized, small-scale mob skirmish we are used to seeing. This was a highly coordinated, international mercenary strike force descending upon our familiar, beloved streets. The sheer terror of this assault cannot be overstated, and the writers and directors have truly outdone themselves in painting a vivid picture of absolute chaos and destruction. Sidwell did not just send a couple of local thugs to rough up Sonny's men. He deployed highly trained, ruthless mercenaries who unleashed a fierce and devastating shootout right in the middle of the day. Watching Sonny's loyal men fall severely injured amidst the splintering wood, shattered glass, and flying bullets was a visceral experience that harkened back to the most intense and heartbreaking mob wars of the 1990s. I could not help but feel a deep sense of dread as the violence unfolded before my eyes. Sidwell's objective, as we quickly learned through the smoke and the sirens, was not to steal valuable shipments of coffee or to disrupt the financial supply chain. His goal was far more sinister, deeply personal, and entirely psychological. He wanted to leave a bloody, unmistakable message that challenges the very core of Sonny's power and authority in Port Charles. This bloody message left behind in the wreckage of the warehouse is a masterclass in psychological warfare. Sidwell is demonstrating with chilling clarity that he is not intimidated by the legendary name of Corinthos. By striking in broad daylight when the city is awake and watching, he is telling Sonny and the entire population of Port Charles that there is nowhere safe to hide, no sanctuary that cannot be breached by his forces. As a television critic who has analyzed this show for years, I have to applaud the sheer menace that Jen Sidwell brings to the screen. We have seen many villains come and go over the decades, from the cunning manipulations of the Cassadine family to the terrifying, obsessive madness of Ryan Chamberlain. But Sidwell operates with a cold, calculated international precision that feels entirely modern and uniquely terrifying. He is systematically dismantling the myth of Sonny's invulnerability, tearing down the invisible walls of protection that have kept our favorite mob boss relatively safe for so many years. The immediate fallout of this brazen attack is economically and socially devastating for Sonny, creating a fascinating shift in the power dynamics of the city. We are watching a master manipulator at work as Sidwell's actions are perfectly designed to isolate Sonny from his crucial business partners and allies. Fear is a profoundly powerful motivator, and as we see these long-standing associates turning their backs on Sonny to avoid being caught in the deadly crossfire, my heart truly aches for the deep isolation he is experiencing. Sonny has always relied on a vast network of loyalty, mutual benefit, and respect. But Sidwell is effectively poisoning that well. The isolation is palpable through the screen, and Maurice Bernard is delivering a wonderfully nuanced performance of a man who is watching his life's work crumble from the edges inward. It makes us wonder, how long can a king hold his throne when his subjects are fleeing in terror and his fortress is under constant siege? But the emotional toll of this violence extends far beyond Sonny Corinthos, and this is where the storyline truly grips my heart and refuses to let go. Let us talk about dear Lucas Jones, our sweet Lucas, who has always been one of the strongest moral compasses of this turbulent family, is currently drowning in a suffocating sea of agonizing guilt. As we know from recent events, Lucas took a massive, uncharacteristic risk by breaking into Sidwell's safe at Windermere and stealing those blackmail photos and negatives to protect his loved ones. At the time, it felt like a heroic, necessary act of defiance. We cheered for his bravery. But now, seeing the bloody, devastating consequences of the warehouse attack, Lucas is entirely convinced that his theft is the direct catalyst for this horrific mercenary retaliation. The psychological burden he is carrying is immense, and watching him struggle with the horrifying thought that he has the blood of Sonny's men on his hands is truly heartbreaking to witness. Lucas is a healer by nature and by his chosen profession. He took a sacred oath to save lives, to comfort the sick, and to do no harm. To see him thrust so violently into the center of a ruthless mob war, feeling personally responsible for the agonizing injuries of those men, adds a layer of profound, tragic irony to the narrative. I find myself wanting to reach right through the television screen and comfort him, to gently tell him that Sidwell's evil is his own, and that Lucas was only trying to protect the people he loves from a monster. The writers are brilliantly exploring the collateral damage of living adjacent to the Corinthos family. Even when you try to do the right thing, the dark undertow of violence can pull you under. Lucas's internal torment is a poignant, painful reminder that in Port Charles, no good deed goes unpunished, and the emotional scars often run much deeper and take far longer to heal than the physical ones. Meanwhile, the severe political and social ramifications of this attack are landing squarely on the capable but weary shoulders of another character we have loved and admired for decades, Mayor Laura Collins. My goodness, Jeannie Francis is giving us such a powerful, layered portrayal of a woman caught between her sworn civic duty and her incredibly complex family ties. Laura is facing an insurmountable wave of public pressure and righteous outrage. The citizens of Port Charles are understandably terrified by the sudden eruption of gang violence in their streets, and they are looking to their mayor for answers, reassurance, and immediate protection. Laura has always stood as a glowing beacon of hope and morality for this town, but this unprecedented crisis is testing her leadership and her spirit to their absolute limits. What makes Laura's situation so incredibly compelling and deeply tragic is the bitter irony of her recent decisions regarding this very threat. Just a short time ago, she explicitly prevented Sonny from taking lethal, preemptive action against Sidwell. She insisted, with all the righteous conviction and moral clarity we expect from her, that they must handle Sidwell through the proper legal channels. She desperately wanted to rely on the justice system to prove that they are fundamentally better than the ruthless criminals they fight against. But now, as she surveys the bloody aftermath of the warehouse attack and hears the cries of the injured, I cannot help but wonder if she is agonizingly second-guessing that noble stance. Did her strict insistence on playing by the rules inadvertently allow Sidwell the precious time and freedom he needed to launch this devastating strike? The burden of leadership is incredibly heavy, and seeing Laura grapple with the horrifying possibility that her morality may have cost innocent lives is a deeply moving storyline that resonates with anyone who has ever had to make an impossible lose-lose choice. The rapidly escalating danger surrounding Sonny, Laura, and Lucas is creating an atmosphere of suffocating, unbearable tension that permeates every single scene. Sidwell is not just a distant threat. He is an encroaching, suffocating shadow that threatens to consume them all in darkness. With his business partners fleeing in panic and his usual resources severely depleted by the attack, Sonny is backed into a highly dangerous corner. We all know from decades of history that a cornered Sonny Corinthos is a terrifying force to be reckoned with, but even he seems to realize that he cannot fight a well-funded international mercenary army entirely on his own. The narrative has brilliantly and methodically set the stage for Sonny to seek out an unexpected, perhaps even unthinkable alliance. It is a desperate move for a desperate time, and it highlights just how completely and thoroughly Sidwell has disrupted the established order of our beloved city. I have spent hours pondering who this unexpected alliance might involve, and the sheer necessity of it speaks volumes about the absolute gravity of the situation. Sonny has spent a lifetime building impenetrable walls, trusting only his inner circle and relying on a very select few to watch his back. To see him forced to reach across the aisle, perhaps to a former bitter rival, a government agency, or a shadowy figure he would normally avoid at all costs, is a testament to the brilliant, suspenseful pacing of this current storyline. It keeps us, the veteran viewers who think we have seen it all, completely on the edge of our seats, reminding us that even after all these years, General Hospital can still surprise us and push its legacy characters into entirely uncharted, perilous territory. The desperation is thick enough to cut with a knife, and the stakes for the Corinthos family have truly never been higher. But just when the darkness seemed absolute, just when we thought Sidwell might actually succeed in his hostile, bloody takeover of Port Charles, the writers delivered a masterstroke that had me literally cheering at my television screen in pure delight. The sudden, electrifying, and completely unexpected appearance of Anna Devane and Jason Morgan is the exact kind of dramatic shockwave that makes us tune in day after day, year after year. Their arrival on the chaotic scene completely shifts the dynamic of this war, injecting a massive, much-needed dose of hope and adrenaline into a narrative that was rapidly becoming steeped in despair and defeat. Let us take a moment to deeply appreciate the sheer monumental impact of Jason Morgan stepping back into the fray at this exact moment. Jason is not just Sonny's enforcer, he is the legendary, stoic protector of this family, a man whose very presence commands instant respect and instills paralyzing fear in the hearts of his enemies. Seeing Jason silently assess the smoldering wreckage of the coffee warehouse, his eyes cold, calculating, and filled with a quiet, lethal promise, brings a profound sense of comfort to those of us who have followed his incredible journey. Jason intimately understands the brutal language of violence that Sidwell is speaking. But unlike Sidwell's hired guns, Jason fights with a deeply ingrained sense of loyalty, purpose, and love for his family. His intervention clearly signals that the days of Sidwell operating unchecked and unchallenged are officially over,